Get out of this house with your kids if you don't want to end up like Emma." The harsh voice of Clarice, Liana's mother-in-law, echoed through the grand living room. Standing beside her, smug and victorious, was her husband's mistress, Emma. Liana's eyes welled with tears, her arms tightening protectively around her son. "You're really throwing us out? Even your own grandchildren?" "I don't care about them, Liana. What do I gain from you? You don't have a penny to your name. You're like a stray animal we've been forced to raise. Useless, unneeded." Her voice was sharp, slicing into Liana's pride. "Ever since you married my son, nothing but misfortune has entered this home. Not a day goes by that I don't regret letting you become part of this family." Liana's shoulders shook. She held her son close, trying to shield him not only from the bitter cold, but from the words piercing through her soul. "I don't want my son to continue living with someone as pitiful as you," Clarice added, pointing an accusatory finger at her. "You don't belong here. You never did." But months later, they regretted everything. Liana returned, not to beg, but to take back everything they had stolen from her. "You can't do this, Liana!" Clarice shouted as the younger woman slapped an envelope against her face. "We're still married to Antonius. He still has rights to all of this. You can't just take it all for yourself." Liana's voice was cold, calm, and composed. "We're divorced. Your son and I are no longer married. Signed, sealed, legalized." That morning, Liana woke up with a weight pressing down on her chest. She couldn't breathe right, couldn't think straight. Questions raced in her mind, questions she answered again and again, without any certainty. Until a single phone call from her best friend Alana shattered the final illusions. They met at a small coffee shop they used to frequent. Alana arrived carrying her laptop and a hesitant, almost apologetic smile. "Liana," she began slowly, showing her something on the screen. "I didn't want you to be the last to know. You need to see this." On the screen was a signed agreement, a legal document, a betrayal in ink. The names at the top, Antonius and Emma Laurel. It was an agreement stating that once they secured Liana's inheritance, Antonius would divorce her and marry Emma. "No," Liana whispered, eyes locked on the paper. "This can't be true." "I'm sorry," Alana said. "I only found out after months of digging. They were never separated. He never left Emma." Liana's body went cold, her stomach twisted, her hands began to tremble. She remembered their wedding day, his promises, his kisses, his lies. "He used me," she choked. "I was never his wife. I was just the backup plan. I was the stepping stone to their ambition." Tears flowed freely down her cheeks. She tried to stifle her sobs, covering her mouth, afraid to let the pain out fully. "Liana," Alana whispered, standing from her seat and embracing her tightly. "This isn't your fault. He lied to you, deceived you. You don't deserve any of this." Liana clung to her friend, trembling like a child without a home. Her friend's arms became a blanket in the cold realization that the man she loved had never truly loved her. "You're not to blame for loving him," Alana whispered. "The fault lies in the one who never saw your worth." "You don't have to stay in a relationship built on lies," Alana said gently as they walked down the quiet sidewalk toward Liana's temporary home. Liana remained silent, her grip tightening on her phone. She couldn't even bring herself to call Antonius. Every word Alana had said earlier rang loud in her mind, louder than the city noise, louder than her heartbeat. "I'll walk you to your place," Alana offered, breaking the silence. Liana gave a faint nod, but deep within, every question in her heart was being replaced by something else. Fear of what more she would discover. As they entered the gated driveway of the mansion, Liana didn't have to ask. From the open front door, She could already see the familiar black SUV parked outside, Emma's. Several suitcases were visible in the foyer. Her heart pounded. This can't be happening. When she pushed open the door, she froze. Emma was sitting comfortably on the living room sofa, looking relaxed, perfectly at ease. Beside her was Antonius, holding her hand, like they were in some kind of soap opera scene. Clarice stood by the stairs, watching them, a knowing look on her face. "What does this mean?" Liana demanded. "Why is she here? What are those suitcases?" Antonius stood, avoiding her gaze. "Emma is moving in." Liana swallowed hard. Her lips trembled. "You're bringing your mistress to live in our home." "That's not right!" Alana burst out, stepping forward. "You have no right to do this to Liana. She is still your legal wife. She has full rights to this home. You can't let your mistress live here." Clarice interrupted in a cold tone. "Our decision is final. Emma will live here from now on." "If you don't like it, Liana, you're free to leave. Take your son and go. You're not needed here." The words pushed Liana over the edge. "We're not needed?" she whispered to herself. Her dignity crumbled under the weight of the sentence, repeating over and over in her mind. Suddenly, her 7-year-old son, Marcus, came running down the stairs, toy in hand. "Mommy!" he called out, rushing toward her. Confused by the scene, he looked up. "What's going on?" he asked. He turned to his father. "What's the meaning of this, Dad?" Antonius replied stiffly. "From now on, Emma will be living with us." Marcus stepped back, as if struck. "You can't do this," he cried. "Your mistress can't live in our house, Dad." Turning to his mother, Marcus collapsed into her arms. "Mommy, please stop him," he sobbed. "Please." Liana dropped to her knees, holding him close. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." "No, no, Mom," Marcus shouted, refusing to look at Emma. "I don't want to live with Dad's mistress in our home. I hate her. I don't like her." His voice was desperate, pleading, heartbreaking. This moment, Liana never imagined she'd experience. Not in her own home. Not from the man she chose to love above all. Every cruel word, every heartless decision felt like arrows to her already battered heart. And before they could recover, Emma spoke, wearing a mocking smile. "There's nothing you can do. Your dad doesn't love your mom anymore. He loves me, he always has. Even when he married your mom, it was me he truly wanted. From now on, I'll be living here with you. I'm the new queen of this house." "Shut up," Alana snapped as she stepped forward, but Liana held her back. "I won't stoop to your level," Liana said in a calm but firm voice, still holding her son close. "I won't let you and my husband be happy in the home that the two of us built." "Oh, come on, Liana," Emma scoffed. "I'm not scared of you. You're nothing, not even a speck, and your husband doesn't want you anymore. Even your mother-in-law doesn't want you, so you can't stop him from making me his live-in." "You are shameless," Liana said, voice rising. "How can you live in our house knowing you've destroyed a family?" Emma crossed her arms. "I don't care about your family. What matters is that your husband loves me." Clarice interjected coldly, her tone void of sympathy. "Leave with your son if you don't want to live with Emma here." Liana felt like a bucket of ice water had been poured over her. "You're really throwing us out? Your own grandson?" she asked in disbelief. "I don't care about him, Liana. There's nothing in it for us, especially from you. He has no inheritance or wealth we can gain from. It's like raising a stray with no purpose, and we don't need you here. Since you entered our family, it's been nothing but bad luck. Not a day goes by that I don't regret letting you into our lives." Liana's shoulders shook again. She held Marcus tighter as he whimpered into her chest. She wanted to speak, wanted to fight back, but she couldn't do it in front of her child. "I don't want my son exposed to someone like you," Clarice continued, pointing at her. You're not worthy of being here. You don't belong in our world. Liana looked at Antonius, hoping, praying he would say something, that he would defend her, that he would tell them this was wrong, but he stood silent, expressionless, emotionless. I let my son marry you because I thought you were rich, Clarice added, now speaking in English, laced with contempt. But look at you now. You're just nothing. You're not even truly wealthy, so there's nothing we can get from you. You were a mistake. Better you leave my son's life. It was a slap that needed no hand, a strike harder than any physical blow. Antonia said nothing, didn't even glance her way, as if she didn't exist. Emma smirked as she clung to Antonius's arm, unbothered, shameless. Leave, Emma said flatly, her tone cruel and direct. You don't belong here. Something inside Liana shattered, but before she could fully fall apart, Alana stepped beside her, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. Liana, Alana whispered. Her grip was firm. That's enough. Let's go. You don't deserve to stay in a place like this. Liana looked down at Marcus, still crying. Tears streamed down his cheeks as she whispered to him in a broken voice. We're leaving, baby. Dad, please, Marcus cried. Don't do this. Don't let us leave. Mommy's crying. I don't want to go. Please, Daddy. Antonia stayed silent, didn't even look at his son. Dad, Marcus pleaded again, his voice cracking as they walked away. Why won't you say anything? You're letting us go. You're choosing her over us. A heart-wrenching sob escaped the little boy. He tried to run to his father, but Antonius ignored him, didn't even glance back, and that's when Liana's heart finally broke, not for herself, but for her innocent son, now suffering for the choices of adults. A child, too young to bear this kind of pain. Liana held Marcus's hand tightly. That's enough, baby. Let's go. As they walked out the front door, every step Liana took felt like stepping on broken glass. Behind them, Marcus sobbed uncontrollably. From inside, laughter echoed from the three who remained. The house staff watched the mother and son with pity in their eyes. Outside, in the cold afternoon wind, Alana embraced them both. This isn't the end, Liana, she said. This is where your new beginning starts, for you and your son. Liana continued to cry as she held Marcus tightly in the back seat of the speeding car. Her son still sobbed, clutching her shirt. Mommy, he said between hiccups, his voice nearly gone. Why? Why did Daddy do that to us? She couldn't respond immediately. She wanted to tell him she didn't know either, that she was still searching for answers herself. But how could she explain the cruel deceit of adults to a child so innocent? Mommy, Marcus said again, wiping the tears from his cheek. I thought Daddy loved us. Liana held him tighter, gently rubbing his back, wishing her touch alone could erase his pain. If only I could take all your pain away, baby, she whispered. If only. He loves your Aunt Emma more, sweetie, Liana said softly, barely able to get the words out. There's nothing we can do. Marcus's tiny fists balled up. I hate Daddy, he cried. I don't want to see him ever again. Why did he kick us out, Mommy? We didn't do anything wrong. He's so bad. I'll never forgive him. Each word stabbed at Liana's chest like a knife. She had no answers, no way to ease her son's anguish, because she too was wounded and lost. But then something strange caught her attention. She pressed her palm to Marcus's forehead. Hot, far too hot. Alana, she said urgently, turning to her friend driving. Wait, Marcus. Something's wrong. What is it? Alana asked, glancing in the rearview mirror. He's burning up. His skin is pale and he's sweating. His whole body is shaking. Alana's eyes widened. There's a clinic at the intersection. We're almost there. Hold on to him. Liana quickly removed her jacket and wrapped it around Marcus's trembling frame. She wiped his forehead, and leaned her own head gently against his. "I'm here, baby. Mommy's here. You'll be okay. We'll get you to the doctor." She kissed his forehead, willing herself to take on his fever. "I'm not leaving you. Ever. Mommy's right here." When they arrived at the small emergency clinic, Liana leapt from the car, cradling Marcus in her arms. "Please," she cried, "please help my son. He has a very high fever." Nurses rushed to assist. Liana stood outside the treatment room, tears still streaming down her face, with Alana holding her from the side. "Liana," Alana said gently, "Marcus will be okay. I'm here. You're not alone." Liana didn't even realize how much time had passed as she sat outside the treatment room, heart pounding, breath tight, praying for good news. Then the door finally opened. A male doctor in his 50s stepped out. Liana immediately stood. "Doctor, my son, how is he?" she asked, her voice trembling. The doctor smiled gently. "Your son is stable now. We've given him fluids to prevent dehydration. It's good you brought him in quickly. His fever was high, but it's under control now." Liana burst into tears, tears of relief, like a heavy burden lifting at last. "Thank you. Thank you so much," she gasped, wiping her face. "You can visit him now," the doctor said. "He's sleeping but stable. We'll monitor him overnight." She nodded silently, turning to Alana, who was still beside her, supportive as always. "I'll go with you," Alana said. Together they entered the small room. Marcus lay on the hospital bed, pale but breathing steadily. A cold compress rested on his forehead, and an IV drip was attached to his left arm. Liana sat in the chair next to the bed and gently held his small hand. "My baby," she whispered, brushing his peaceful face. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Her tears returned. There was so much she wished she could undo, so many regrets. She wished she could take all of Marcus's pain and bear it herself. Suddenly, his eyelids fluttered. Slowly, Marcus opened his eyes and saw her tear-streaked face. "Mommy," he whispered. She leaned down and kissed his hand. "Marcus, sweetheart, you're awake," she sobbed, unable to hold back her emotion. "Why are you crying, Mommy?" Marcus asked, trying to sit up, but she gently held him back. "I'm okay," she said. "Don't worry about me, baby. Don't cry, okay?" He reached up with his little hand, trying to wipe away her tears. "It's not your fault, Mommy," he said softly. "It's not your fault any of this happened. It's not your fault Daddy left us." He looked into her eyes, and despite his age, his words carried weight and meaning. "Don't be sad, Mommy. I'm not sad anymore. As long as I'm with you, I'm okay." More tears flowed from Liana's eyes, but this time there was comfort in them. She kissed his forehead again and gently stroked his cheek. "Thank you, baby. You have no idea how much you're keeping me strong." The hospital room was quiet, save for the soft beeping of the monitor. The IV continued to drip. Marcus, now asleep, still held his mother's hand. Liana sat beside him, quiet, but wide awake. Her heart bore the heaviness of everything, like a waking nightmare she couldn't escape. She looked at her son and forced herself to smile, wiped her tears. Then she embraced him. "Mommy's okay now, baby," she whispered. "Mommy's strong, for you." Even if it was a lie, even if inside she felt completely broken, all she wanted was to shield him from the pain she could no longer hide. Moments later, the door opened quietly. It was Alana, holding a tray with food and a cup of coffee. "Liana," she called softly as she approached. "I brought you something to eat. You haven't eaten anything." "Maybe later," Liana replied weakly. "I'm not hungry yet." Alana sighed deeply. "I won't force you, but when you're ready, just let me know." "Thank you, Alana." Liana said sincerely. A few minutes later, Liana stood and quietly left the room. Alana followed her down the hallway to a small lounge area in the hospital. They sat on a long bench, both silent for a while. "How are you feeling?" Alana finally asked. Liana looked at her but said nothing right away. The ache in her chest tried to break free again. She forced a small smile. "I'm okay," she whispered. Alana held her hand. "I know that's not true, Liana. It's me. You can tell me how you really feel." Liana closed her eyes and gripped her coffee tighter. "I'm trying to be okay, for Marcus, but honestly, I'm broken, Alana. Completely broken. Sometimes I just want to disappear." Her voice cracked as tears started to fall again. "He lied to me, used me. And the worst part is, he dragged my child into all of it. I gave him everything, fought for him. I left my whole life behind just to be with him. And this is how he repaid me." Alana remained quiet, letting her release everything. Then Liana's voice filled with emotion. "I want revenge, Alana," she said. "They lied to me, hurt my son. I won't let them be happy while we're broken and discarded like we never mattered." Alana looked at her, fire flickering in her eyes now too. "If that's what you want," she said, "I'll support you. I'll help you carry out whatever plan you come up with. Make them feel the pain they gave you, especially Marcus. Make it double. Don't let those who crushed you walk away happy." "But how?" Liana asked quietly. "How do I make them feel what they did to me?" Alana smiled, but not her usual soft smile. This one was sharp. "It's not too late to return to who you were before they found you. Liana, you're smart. You're capable. You had a name in the business world. Remember that? Bring her back. You came from a powerful family. You're their only child. Rise. If you want to take revenge, you have to be above them. Only then can you crush them easily. You need to be strong, succeed. That's the best revenge." Liana turned to her friend. Those words felt like a spark, reminding her of who she truly was and what she was capable of. "I will, Alana," she replied. "I won't let them destroy me again. I'm no longer the powerless Liana. I'll make them feel everything they've done to us. For all the humiliation they gave me, I'll rise." And in that moment, the heart broken by pain began to harden with purpose. A strong, cold resolve was born, not just to seek justice, but to reclaim everything lost. She would rise again, reclaim her name, her pride, and her future. 2 days later, Marcus was finally discharged from the hospital. Though still a little weak, he smiled as he clung tightly to his mother's hand. Liana held his small shoulder, helping him walk out of the hospital. Waiting outside was Alana with her car, ready to take them home, to her own house, where Liana and Marcus would stay temporarily. Fortunately, Alana had been ready to take them in, ready to be a second mother to Marcus, and a solid rock for Liana. When they arrived at Alana's home, Liana stayed quiet, taking in the surroundings. It was a large house, but it radiated warmth and peace, something that had long been absent in the mansion they had left behind. They had often visited Alana's house, being longtime friends, so Marcus was already familiar with the place. And Alana had always known who Liana truly was, and what she had sacrificed to be with the man who ultimately betrayed her. But Liana had never imagined she'd one day be living there, with nowhere else to go. While Marcus rested inside, Liana turned to her friend. "Thank you, Alana. I keep saying it, but—" Alana stopped her mid-sentence with a hug. "Don't mention it, Liana. That's what I'm here for. We've got no one else but each other. We're best friends. I'll help you in any way I can." Liana nodded and returned the hug tightly. Even though she had been abandoned by the people she loved, she still felt lucky. because she had a son and a friend like Alana. That night, while Marcus slept, Liana stood up quietly and looked at herself in the mirror. She wiped her face, put on a simple outfit, and began to pack. They didn't have many belongings. Most of their things had been left behind in the house they could no longer return to. The next morning, while organizing the luggage, she called out gently to her son. "Sweetheart," she said softly, "we're going to Italy. That's where we'll be living for now." Marcus looked at her, quiet for a moment as he processed her words. Then he nodded. "That's fine, Mommy, as long as I'm with you." Liana smiled, kissed his forehead, and embraced him tightly. "I'll never leave you, baby. I'll do everything I can to give you a good life." Alana joined them on the trip to Italy. Thankfully, she had a condo there where they could stay, while Liana got things in order. They couldn't afford to be reckless, but it was best to get far away from the people who had hurt them. As they stepped off the plane, the cool breeze of Italy greeted them. Holding Marcus's hand, Liana followed Alana to the condo. "This place is so pretty, Aunt Alana," Marcus said excitedly, his eyes wide as he looked around. "Thank you, but I bet you'll be even more amazed when you see your mom's house here," Alana replied. Marcus blinked in surprise. "Mommy has a house here too?" Liana smiled. "Yes, sweetheart." "Really? Why didn't we ever go there before, Mommy?" "When everything's ready, I'll tell you everything," she answered. "Okay, Mommy," Marcus said, nodding. For over 2 weeks, Liana worked on everything, rebuilding herself, preparing to face the world she once left behind, for a love that turned out to be a trap. She would be lying if she said she wasn't scared. She feared that her family would no longer accept her after all she had done. But she had to try. She had to be brave. "I'll take care of Marcus," Alana told her. "Call me if you need anything." Liana nodded. Despite the anxiety growing in her chest, she hugged her son tightly and kissed his cheek. "Everything will be okay, baby. Just wait for Mommy." She left quietly, dressed in a trench coat and sunglasses, driving Alana's car to her destination. And as she traveled the streets of Florence, memories of the past came rushing back, memories of success, of respect, and of the identity she had surrendered in the name of love. She didn't know if the world she once ruled would still welcome her, but she couldn't doubt herself now. She stopped in front of a grand mansion, almost like a palace. Marble gates stood tall, the kind only seen in movies. But this was her old home, her real palace, where she had grown up. 6 guards in black suits stood at attention, guns at their sides. But when Liana stepped out of the car, they lowered their weapons immediately and bowed deeply. "Bentornata, Lady Felicity Lyra," they greeted. "Welcome back." She smiled softly. "Grazie." It had been more than 6 years since Liana left this life behind to be with Antonius. Yet the household staff still remembered her, perhaps because her appearance hadn't changed much through the years, or perhaps her parents had never stopped introducing her as their daughter. She couldn't help but stare at the grand facade of the mansion, her former home, her old world, the one she had abandoned. After the guards finished their greetings, one of them carefully opened the heavy, ornate gate. Liana stepped inside. Her chest felt heavy, each step echoing on the Italian marble floor. One of the housekeepers opened the large front door for her, bowing respectfully. Several others who saw her arrival paused, joy lighting up their faces as if her return was something they had been waiting for. The mansion was silent inside. The large paintings still lined the walls, portraits filled with history, memories she had once left behind. With every step she took, everything came back. The tears, the silence she once chose, the dream she surrendered. She reached the grand living room. On a wide couch sat 2 people she had been avoiding for years, her mother and father. They both turned when they heard footsteps. As the guards and housemaids drew near, her mother's eyes widened. "Lyra!" her mother whispered, voice shaking. Her father sat frozen, staring at her, disbelief in his eyes. Liana remained where she was, tears beginning to brim in her eyes. "Sweetheart," her mother exclaimed. Half Filipina and once a resident of the US, she had no trouble reverting to English. "You're back. Is it really you, Felicity Lyra?" her mother asked again. "Have you truly returned?" Liana nodded slowly. "Yes, it's me. I've come home." And in an instant, she dropped to her knees in the middle of the room. "I'm sorry," she cried. Tears hit the marble floor. "I'm sorry I left. I chose love over family. I disappeared for years. I never even asked how you were." Her mother shook her head and rushed toward her. Her father followed. They both pulled her into a tight embrace. "Hush, sweetheart," her mother whispered, also crying as she stroked Liana's hair. "It's okay. You're here now. You're home. That's all that matters." "Stop crying, sweetheart," her father added, patting her back. "We're not mad at you. We never hated you. What matters is that you're alive and back with us." "We prayed for you every night," her mother said, still weeping. "We never lost hope. We knew you'd come back. No matter how many years passed, we would have waited, and we would always welcome you home." "I regret it," Liana whispered. "I endured so much pain. I thought I made the right choice. But I was wrong. I'm so sorry for leaving you." Her father gently said, "We never held it against you. And now, we're just overwhelmed with happiness. You've come back. Wherever your decisions lead you, we'll support you," her mother added. "You won't be far from us again." Liana hugged them tighter. In their embrace, the weight in her heart began to lift. She was finally home, not because of wealth or luxury, but because of the love of the people who had never turned their backs on her. And in the middle of that embrace, she silently made a promise to never leave again. She would never again fall for false love. From now on, she would rise, not as someone seeking affection, but as Lady Felicity Lyra Monteverde, not to love again, but to settle the score. A few days after her return, Liana fully reclaimed the identity of Lady Felicity Lyra, no longer the woman who had walked away for the wrong love, but the woman who now stood tall for herself and for her son. At last, she brought Marcus to their family estate. As the car traveled up the long private drive, Liana watched her son press his face to the window, wide-eyed at the size of the grounds. The garden seemed to stretch on forever, bursting with flowers in every color. "Mommy, this place is huge, like a palace," he breathed. Liana smiled and smoothed his hair. "From now on, sweetheart, this is our real home." "Do princes and princesses live here?" Marcus asked. "Am I a prince?" Before Liana could answer, Alana, seated beside him, chuckled. "You're more than a prince, Marcus. Someday you'll help run all of this like a true king." When they stepped out of the car, rows of uniformed staff and guards greeted them. A butler bowed low. "Welcome home, young master." Marcus grabbed his mother's hand, shy but smiling. "Mommy, he called me young master." "That's right," Liana told him softly, "because you're the grandson of the Duke and Duchess of this family." Inside, her parents hurried toward them, smiles shining through tears. They stopped short when they truly saw Marcus. "Is this him?" her mother whispered, emotion thick in her voice. Liana knelt beside Marcus. "Sweetheart, these are your grandparents." Marcus looked up at the older couple, strangers to him, and then, without hesitation, offered a polite bow. "Hello, Mom. Hello, sir." His grandmother gathered him into a tight embrace, unable to hold back her tears. "Our grandson, our dream come true. You've grown so much. Marcus glanced between them, uncertainty in his eyes. You won't leave me and Mommy, will you? Never, the Duke said, resting a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder. Whatever you dream, whatever you need, we're here, always. Liana felt her chest tighten with gratitude. For the first time in years, her world felt whole again. Thank you, Mama Papa, she whispered, voice thick with emotion. Thank you for accepting Marcus. And me. Her mother shook her head gently. Any past mistake vanished the moment you walked through that door with our grandson. All we ask is that you stay with us. I won't leave again, Liana promised, glancing at Marcus, who smiled back at her. She knelt, looking her son in the eyes. I left this life once for your dad. I loved him, but he didn't fit in this world, and he never accepted us. I wanted to focus on our little family, especially after you were born. I never planned to reveal who I really was. Marcus listened intently, then grinned. I'm happy to have grandparents. Lola Clarice said they were gone, but she wasn't telling the truth. Now we have family on our side. Liana clasped his hand. Are you upset I kept this from you, sweetheart? He shook his head. No, Mommy, I didn't know anything about it, so I've got no reason to be mad. She sighed with relief and hugged him tight. While Marcus explored his new room with a nanny, Liana sat with Alana and her parents on the veranda, sipping coffee as a cool breeze rustled the gardens. The air was cold, but for the first time in a long while, warmth spread in Liana's chest. She was home, safe, and surrounded by unshakable love, and she was finally ready to start anew. A cool breeze swept across the veranda, yet the emotions Liana had long kept inside burned hot. Her mother watched, eyes searching for answers that had waited years to be spoken. Sweetheart, her mother said softly, what really happened between you and your husband? Liana met her parents' anxious gazes and drew a deep breath. I trusted him, Mama, Papa. I loved him even though I knew he could never match our life. I walked away from everything, our name, our wealth, because I thought love was enough. She bit her lip, pain flickering across her face. But I was wrong. Antonius deceived me, betrayed me. Her parents listened, silent but furious. They believed I was just the heiress of an ordinary ranch, Liana continued. He married me under a secret deal with his girlfriend. Once they got my inheritance, he would leave me and marry her. When he realized he couldn't get my fortune, and thought I had none, he turned cold. Even after we had Marcus, he and his family grew cruel. Her mother covered her mouth, horrified. Her father's jaw tightened, a red flush creeping up his ears. They kicked us out, Liana said, voice trembling, even though the house was in my name. They chose Emma over their own grandson. Not once did Antonius protect us. Good Lord, her mother whispered. They did that to you and our grandchild. Her father slammed a hand on the small table. Shameless! How dare they treat my daughter and grandson that way? Liana wiped away a tear. They threw us out like we were nothing. Now I'm filing for divorce. I'll take back every single thing that belongs to me. The house Marcus grew up in, the properties I sacrificed. I won't let them keep what's mine. Her father nodded, resolute. We'll start immediately. Our attorneys will handle everything. You're a Monteverde. No one steps on you. Her mother embraced her tightly. We won't let them hurt you again. That man will regret everything he's done to you and Marcus. Fresh tears filled Liana's eyes, but this time they were tears of gratitude, not sorrow. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Papa. I don't know how I would rise again without you. Her mother gently brushed away Liana's tears. Stand tall, my child. Stand as yourself, not as someone's discarded wife, but as Lady Felicity Lyra Monteverde, ready to defend her son, her name and her honor. Liana nodded, her resolve solidifying. It was time to close the chapter of yesterday and write a new one, no longer as a victim, but as a woman reclaiming her triumph. Fortunately, their marriage had taken place abroad, so the divorce was fully recognized by law. Liana didn't want any lingering connection to the man who had deceived her. 1 month after filing the divorce, through her parents' help and the expertise of seasoned lawyers, she was ready. She was no longer the woman who once sobbed in the back of a car, broken and devastated. She had become whole again, stronger, braver, and determined to reclaim everything taken from her. When she returned to the US, she didn't take a commercial flight. She flew back on a private jet. The moment her jet landed, a long black limousine was waiting at the runway. Every movement was met with courtesy. Doors were opened for her, designer bags carried, and pathways cleared like royalty had arrived to reclaim her throne. The car stopped in front of her former home, the house she once shared with Antonius, the same house from which they had mercilessly thrown her and Marcus out. The driver stepped out first, followed by her personal guard, who held a leather document case. "Ma'am, we've arrived." Liana stepped out slowly, dressed in an all-white fitted dress, black sunglasses, head high. Each step radiated a confidence no one could buy. From a second vehicle that followed behind, her lawyer exited. Just then, Clarice appeared, followed by Emma and Antonius, having seen the cars outside. Their eyes widened, their breath caught. They looked like they'd seen a ghost. "Liana?" Antonius muttered, stunned. "What are you doing here?" Clarice asked sharply, Emma visibly tensing beside her. Liana gave a cold smile, not ordinary, but commanding, dominant. She stopped midway along the stone pathway, faced them, and said clearly, "I've come back to take everything that's mine." Clarice raised her brows and laughed. "Don't be ridiculous, Liana. Nothing here belongs to you. The house, the land, the business, everything's Antonius. You have no claim here." Emma grinned smugly, eager to witness Liana's humiliation. But Liana only smiled wider. "You're all fools," she said, voice soft but razor-sharp. "You never even realized that everything Antonius and I acquired was registered under my name." The three of them looked at each other, stunned, like a wind had blown straight through them. Antonius's coffee cup rattled in his hand. Liana signaled to her bodyguard, who handed her the leather case. She opened it and pulled out certified true copies, land titles, deeds of sale, company documents, all in the name of Felicity Lira Monteverde, her full maiden name. The truth hit them like a slap across the face. Clarice staggered, Emma turned pale. Antonius stood frozen, unable to move, eyes locked on the documents. "This can't be," Antonius whispered. "You can't do this to me," he added, voice shaking. "Of course I can," Liana replied firmly. "You did it to me and my son first. You threw us out of this house that I built, and now I'm the one taking back what's rightfully mine." She stepped closer, her lawyer carrying an official eviction notice. "Today, you're the ones being evicted," she said. "I want you to feel what it's like to lose your home, your pride, your security." "Welcome to karma," Liana added coldly. "And I'm delivering it, on paper, with signatures, and backed by law." In the stunned silence that followed, Clarice suddenly erupted. "You can't do this, Liana!" she shrieked. Her voice was filled with rage, her finger trembling as she pointed at her. "You and Antonius are still married. He still has a right to everything. Whatever papers you have, you can't take all of this on your own." Liana didn't flinch. Instead, she glanced at her bodyguard, who handed her a brown envelope. She stepped forward, a faint smirk playing on her lips, and slapped the envelope right into Clarice's face. "We're divorced. Your son and I are no longer married." Her voice was firm, composed. Signed, sealed, legalized. Clarice stepped back in shock, snatching the envelope and opening it with shaky hands. Inside were the divorce papers, official seals, notarized signatures, and an affidavit of acknowledgement. Even Antonius moved forward, grabbed one of the papers, and scanned it quickly. No, this isn't possible. I didn't sign this, he mumbled, face drained of color. Liana turned to him, shook her head slowly, and laughed bitterly. You don't need to know everything, Antonius. I can turn things in my favor. Her tone hardened. You never knew who I truly was. You never imagined what I could do. I have power now, real power. And the truth is, I've always had it. I just set it aside. For you. That was my mistake. This is all a lie, Emma burst out, nearly screaming. You're making all this up. You were nothing before. You had no money, no designer clothes, nothing. You were just a pathetic little girl the world forgot. Liana smirked. You really thought I was a nobody? She laughed coldly. I'm not just Liana. I've always been more than the weak woman you thought I was. I let you think that. I made myself small, dimmed my light to fit in your shadow, but not anymore. She stepped forward, standing boldly in the mansion's entryway. I am Felicity Lyra Monteverde, the only daughter of Duke Federico and Duchess Isabella Monteverde, heir to the Monteverde International Empire. My family built an empire that rules the business world. I once ran away for love, but I didn't come back for apologies or second chances. I came back to make you feel exactly what you made me and my son feel. Their eyes widened. Her words struck like lightning, powerful, undeniable. Clarice stumbled back, defeated. Emma was pale and shaking. Antonius couldn't even look up, still fixated on the documents. If you think you can trample on me again, Liana said, voice like steel, let me remind you, no matter how hard you try, you'll never take down someone who stands miles above you. If anyone's leaving this house, it's the three of you, not me and my son. Because the land you're standing on, the house you live in, it all belongs to me. She gave a small nod to her bodyguards. They moved immediately, entering the house to bar the three from ever stepping back in. Liana stood tall, head high, in front of the home she once believed would be filled with love and laughter, a home once stolen by betrayal, and now officially Idwi, and rightfully hers. Behind her, her team stood alert, bodyguards and lawyers, all holding the proof of her full ownership. She smiled at the three people who once tore her apart. Clarice, Emma, Antonius. It's over, Liana said coldly. Your show is done. Your reign is over. Get out of my house, now! Wait, Liana, Clarice shouted, her voice nearly cracking with fury and desperation. You have no right to kick us out. This is my son's house. But Liana only smiled, cool and mocking. Don't you get it? Or are you just plain stupid? This house belongs to me. I own it. None of it is yours. She took a step closer, her gaze sharp and unrelenting. It's all under my name, so get out of my property. She narrowed her eyes. And let me warn you, this isn't the end. I'm not just kicking you out. I'll make sure all of you fall to your knees and beg for even a sliver of mercy from me. But I won't leave you anything. She raised a finger and signaled. Suddenly, the sound of multiple limousines arriving echoed down the street. Everyone turned to look. One of the car doors opened, and Marcus stepped out, followed by his nanny and two bodyguards who immediately bowed. Young master, please be careful, one of them said, as the boy walked straight ahead. Marcus walked without hesitation toward his mother. No glances, no hesitation. He stopped beside Liana, his position clear. Marcus, Antonius called out, desperate. Son! Marcus turned sharply toward him, eyes cold. Don't call me that. You lost the right when you chose your mistress. Antonius flinched as if struck. Emma was ghost white, speechless. Clarice trembled with rage. Clarice lunged forward. Liana, you'll pay for this. This won't end here. We'll get back at you, and when we do, you'll be the one begging. No one escapes karma, she sneered, but Liana only gave a slow, cutting smile. Karma doesn't come right away, Clarice, but when it does, consider me its messenger. She turned to her staff and gave a firm nod. Remove everything that belongs to them, she said. I don't want a single thing of theirs left in this house. Her people moved swiftly, hauling out boxes of shoes, designer bags, picture frames, everything. Even the piano, ma'am, one of them asked. Everything, Liana ordered. Leave nothing behind. Emma and Clarice rushed toward one of their SUVs, a luxury import, but Liana's voice stopped them. Wait a minute. They turned, clinging to a last shred of hope. You can't take that either, Liana said. What are you talking about? Emma snapped. Liana smirked and pulled off her gloves. Even that car is under my name. Every piece of furniture, every spoon and fork in that house, I bought with my money. Emma screamed in frustration. Clarice clutched her chest and collapsed to the ground, unconscious. And if you try to claim anything I own, Liana said coldly, don't bother. You'll only waste your time. Tension filled the air as more of her staff moved furniture and boxes out onto the street. Liana didn't stick around. She didn't want to see their faces any longer. She simply gave instructions. Clean the entire house. Burn or throw away everything they leave behind. Are you okay, ma'am? Marcus asked gently. Liana smiled at her son. I'm more than okay, baby. But she wasn't done yet, because when she said she would make them kneel, she meant every word. The next day, inside an elegant conference room of the company, everything was still. Seated at the head of the table was Liana, poised, composed, dressed in a striking corporate outfit. In her hands was a thick folder filled with legal documents. Good morning, she began with firm confidence. I've called this meeting to announce something important. Some board members exchanged glances. A few looked shocked, others seemed aware of what was coming. I'm sorry, Miss Lyra, one board member said. What do you mean this is your company? As far as we know, your husband, Mr. Antonius, is still... Before he could finish, Liana's assistant stepped forward and placed documents on the table. They reached for the papers. It was a notarized set of documents showing the transfer of company ownership, done years ago. All shares and rights had been placed in her name. These are official, Liana stated. All the stocks, shares and rights were transferred to me long ago. They were hidden in plain sight. You just never looked closely. And to correct your assumption, I'm no longer married to Antonius. We're divorced. More murmurs spread through the room as one of the board members summoned the corporate lawyer seated in the corner. The lawyer stood and faced everyone. All documents are valid and legal, he explained. Miss Lyra, or rather, Lady Felicity Lyra Monteverde, is the rightful owner of this company. Antonius was only ever placed as a figurehead. The actual authority has always been hers. As the explanation continued, the doors to the conference room suddenly burst open. Antonius and Emma appeared, clearly rushed and out of breath. What's going on here, Lyra? What are you doing? Antonius asked immediately. Liana adjusted her posture and offered a faint, icy smile. I'm glad you're here, Antonius. You even brought your assistant. Convenient. You can pack your things now. Starting today, you have no role here. You're lying, Emma shouted. You can't do this. This company isn't yours. The corporate lawyer stepped forward again and placed another set of documents in front of them. All legal rights belong to Miss Monteverde. The documentation is signed, executed, and finalized. Your signatures were never needed. The shares were gifted to her by the original founder before his resignation. Antonius's eyes widened. He collapsed into a chair, gripping his forehead. Emma clutched her chest, speechless. Liana laughed quietly, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Everything is mine now. The house, the cars, the company. Everything you thought was yours was never yours to begin with. And now I'm just taking it all back. She stood tall, owning the room. The board members watched in stunned silence as their new boss revealed herself, not as the ex-wife of a former CEO, but as the rightful queen of the entire empire. Cameras in the room broadcasted the meeting live across the company. Employees outside gathered around monitors, watching the downfall of Antonius and the powerful rise of the woman everyone thought had disappeared. You should have never underestimated me, Antonius, Liana said coldly. I'm not the same woman you abandoned. I am Felicity Lyra, and I just reclaimed everything that was mine. The conference room fell into a tense silence after the thunderous declaration. Neither Antonius nor Emma could meet Liana's gaze. Their presence shrank with each second that passed, like shadows fading beneath the weight of truth. Liana stood with a victorious smile. She adjusted her blazer and then turned her piercing gaze back to the two. I don't want to see your faces in this company ever again, she said with finality. Not even your shadows. Pack your things. By tomorrow, I don't want a trace of you left here. This is my company now. That means what I say goes. Antonius looked like he couldn't breathe. Emma bit her lip, unable to respond. But Liana wasn't done. She approached Emma, looking her straight in the eye, unflinching and fierce. And Emma, she said in a deceptively sweet tone, be a good little wife to my ex-husband. Isn't that what you always wanted, to be his trophy? Now he's all yours, and guess what? He has nothing, not even his pride, so good luck with that. Emma dropped her handbag in shock, shrinking under the weight of humiliation. Antonius sat frozen, unable to raise his head. Each word from Liana, another nail in the coffin of his dignity. Liana turned and began walking past the stunned board members, who now looked at her not with pity, but with deference, as their new leader. As she exited the conference room and entered the hallway, employees bowed their heads respectfully as she passed. When she reached the building's entrance, her assistant opened the limousine door. She stepped in without a glance back. Inside the car, she leaned into the leather seat and exhaled deeply. A smirk slowly played on her lips. She was happy. She had taken everything back, everything they stole. She had made them taste the pain they once poured into her when she was at her lowest. But in her heart, Liana knew. It still wasn't enough. Not yet. The upstairs room of the mansion was quiet. Through the large windows, she could see the garden where golden trumpet vines danced with the wind. Liana sat on the divan, still wearing the black corporate dress from earlier that day, but the sharp, triumphant smile she wore during the takeover was gone. A soft knock broke the silence. She turned to see Marcus peeking through the door, his innocent almond eyes looking directly at her. "Mommy, can I come in?" She nodded. "Of course, sweetheart. Come here." Marcus walked over and sat beside her. "Is something wrong?" she asked. "Do you want to tell Mommy something?" She could sense it. He had questions, doubts. He was young, but wise beyond his years, sensitive to everything around him. "Earlier today, Mommy," Marcus began, "Aunt Alana told me what happened between you and Daddy." Liana's heart skipped a beat, but she stayed silent, waiting. "She said you took the company back from Daddy," Marcus continued, "that he doesn't have anything left, not even a place to go." Liana whispered, "That's true, baby. Are you angry at Mommy for doing that to your father?" Marcus was quiet for a few seconds. Then he shook his head. No, Mommy, he said, and gave her a small smile. Really? She asked, unsure. I understand, Mommy. I know you were hurt. Aunt Alana and Grandma and Grandpa explained everything. They helped me understand. If it made you feel even a little better, then it's okay with me. Tears slowly gathered in Liana's eyes. You don't hate me, she whispered. I was scared. I thought if you found out, I'd lose you too. I'm not going anywhere, Mommy, Marcus said with a grin. Not ever. I'll never leave you. And right then, the tears Liana had tried to hold back finally spilled. Marcus immediately wrapped his arms around her and told her to stop crying, because it was making him cry too. Thank you, she whispered, kissing the top of his head. Thank you, my sweet boy. Though only a few days had passed since Liana took everything back from the Montefalcos, the house, the cars, the company, she was already planning her next move. Because for her, it still wasn't enough. There was one thing left in their possession, one last symbol of their pride. Emma's boutique. Emma's boutique, the last remaining possession tied to her pride and identity, was now Liana's final target. She used her network of law firms and real estate experts to track ownership records and legal vulnerabilities. It didn't take long. She found what she needed. The land where the boutique stood wasn't even under Emma's name. It had long been mortgaged by Emma's parents, who were buried in debt. The bank had repossessed it. With her resources, Liana easily acquired the title. She now owned the very ground Emma's boutique stood on. Early that morning, she dispatched her team to begin clearing the property. Men began removing racks of clothes, furniture, and mirrors. Emma's staff alerted her, and as expected, Emma rushed to the scene. What's going on here? Emma screamed, her eyes darting around the boutique in panic. Who told you to do this? Liana stood calmly at the center of the store, raising a hand with a casual wave. I did. She stood tall, dressed in a sharp dark red suit, her hair perfectly done, and confidence radiating from every inch. I gave the orders. I've decided to convert this place into a coffee shop. I couldn't wait. Emma's voice shook. You can't do this. This is my boutique. I own this. No, Liana said, smiling coolly. You don't. She stepped closer, her tone even colder. Are you sure, Emma? Sure that anything here actually belongs to you? She signaled to her assistant, who stepped forward and handed an envelope to Emma. Read it, Liana said. It might clear things up for you. Emma slowly opened the envelope, her hands trembling as she flipped through the pages. Her eyes widened, her skin paling further with every line. This can't be, she whispered. But it is, Liana replied. You don't own the land. The bank sold it. And guess who bought it? She leaned in. Me. Emma looked at her, pleading now. Liana, please. You don't have to do this. I do, Liana answered coldly. This is mine now, and I don't want your name or shadow anywhere near it. Emma began to sob. You're cruel. No, Liana said. I used to be merciful. You destroyed that part of me. Emma dropped to her knees, begging. Please don't take this from me, she cried. This is all I have left of my parents. I'll do anything. I'll leave Antonius. I swear I won't bother you again. Just, please don't take this from me. Liana laughed, bitter and unrelenting. Oh, Emma! She wiped a tear from her eye, still chuckling. You really think this is about him? She stepped forward and looked down at her. I don't want him. He's yours. I just want the land, and everything else I choose to build here. Emma, still kneeling, no longer cared who saw her. She clutched the documents, soaked in tears. Liana bent down, her tone turning into a whisper near Emma's ear. You said you'd do anything? Emma nodded, desperate. Then disappear, for good. Liana stood and looked down at her one last time. That's what I want, Emma. If you can't do that, don't expect me to give you anything. She tossed another envelope, this one containing a legal contract for Emma's voluntary exit from the premises. Then, without waiting for another word, Liana turned and walked away. Her assistant approached with her designer sunglasses. She put them on, stepped into her car, and glanced in the rearview mirror. There was Emma, still on her knees, still sobbing, still surrounded by moving men clearing out the boutique. She had it coming, Liana muttered to herself, and as the car pulled away, a small smile played on her lips, a smile full of triumph, a smile that had been waiting for years. The night was quiet in a private lounge inside a 5-star hotel. Liana sat across from Alana, both of them holding crystal wine glasses. Around them, soft jazz played, warm ambient lighting glowed, and the air carried a refined elegance, just the way Liana liked it. Quiet luxury, once denied to her. "Did you hear the news yet?" Alana asked, twirling the stem of her glass between her fingers. Liana turned away from the large glass wall where she'd been watching the city lights. "What news?" Alana smiled, a mix of triumph and a touch of pity. "Antonius is completely ruined. Their business is gone. The debts consumed the last of their shares. And Clarice, she's in the hospital. Stroke, the stress finally got to her." Liana fell silent. "Oh well," she murmured, staring into her glass. "Karma found them. That's wonderful news," she added, her tone light but edged. Alana raised her eyebrows, laughing under her breath. "Wow, Liana, you didn't just take down 3 people at once. You brought others down with them, everyone who sided with them. You're incredible." "I'm happy for you," Alana said. "I saw how much they made you suffer. I watched you stay silent when they stepped on you. But now you're on top, and they're all destroyed." Liana smirked. "It's only fair. Honestly, they should be thankful. I didn't go further." Their glasses clinked in a quiet toast, both women smiling, satisfied. Before returning to Italy, Liana had one more thing to do. She hadn't left without saying goodbye, but she wasn't finished yet, either. This time she came to end it. Once and for all. On her last day in the United States before returning to Italy, Liana had one final task. She hadn't left without a word, but she hadn't truly closed the book yet, either. Now she would. She moved silently down a private hospital hallway. She wore an elegant white dress, simple yet undeniably refined. Her hair was perfectly arranged, and she removed her dark sunglasses as she reached the door. Stepping inside, she instantly caught the sterile scent of disinfectant. On the bed lay Clarice, frail, motionless, a shadow of the woman who once filled every room with arrogance and power. Beside her sat Antonius, disheveled, dark circles beneath his eyes. When they saw Liana, both froze. Antonius sprang to his feet, starting toward her, but Liana's sharp voice stopped him. "Stay away from me, Antonius. You have no right to come near me." He halted immediately. Clarice struggled to sit up, fear flickering in her eyes. Liana, the older woman whispered, her voice weak. "What are you going to do?" Liana smiled sweetly, dangerously. "This place suits you, Clarice," she said, scanning the room. "Quiet, peaceful, clean, a perfect match for you. Stuck in bed, unable to do anything." "Please," Clarice begged, her voice barely audible. Liana had expected anger but found pleading instead. "Have mercy. We have nothing left. Nothing. We can't even pay the hospital bill." Liana's smile widened. "Begging suits you even more, Clarice. I think it's my new favorite look on you." Clarice's eyes filled with tears. "Liana, child, show some pity," she begged again. "You lost the right to call me child when you threw my son and me onto the street. Liana replied coldly. Do you remember? Marcus had a fever that night. You didn't care. Clarice looked down, silent tears slipping. So now, Liana continued, voice steady, whether you lose your business, your money, your dignity, I don't care. I'm not here for vengeance, Clarice. I'm here for justice, because if I don't deliver it, who will? Clarice had no answer, only tears. Antonius fell to his knees. I'm sorry, Liana. I was blind. Please forgive me. Forgive us. Liana's gaze hardened. When you chose your mistress over your family, over your sick child, you showed no mercy. Don't expect mine now. She turned toward the door. Some people don't deserve forgiveness. And as she walked away, neither Clarice nor Antonius called after her again. There was nothing left to say. Outside the hospital, Liana drew a deep breath of evening air, then stepped into her waiting car. She was finished here. Tomorrow she and Marcus would fly home to Italy, where the next chapter awaited. The private jet touched down smoothly on the runway in Florence. The city lights sparkled beyond the horizon, welcoming them home. Liana stepped out first, wearing a cream-colored trench coat, sunglasses perched on her head. The wind caught her hair slightly as she turned to help Marcus down the steps. Her son beamed, thrilled to be back. Mommy, he said, squeezing her hand. We're home again. She smiled. Yes, sweetheart, home. Waiting on the tarmac was a convoy of luxury cars. Bodyguards stood at attention, and the staff from their Florence estate bowed as the two approached. From the first vehicle, her mother and father emerged. The Duke and Duchess Monteverde had come to greet them personally. Marcus ran to his grandparents with open arms, and they welcomed him with warm embraces. We missed you both, her mother said, kissing Liana on the cheek. How was the trip? Successful, Liana replied. Everything's done. There's nothing left in the States that ties us down. Her father nodded proudly. Well done. It's time to look forward. Your place is here now. Liana smiled and looked toward the city skyline. It's good to be home. The drive back to the estate was smooth and quiet. Liana sat beside Marcus, watching him rest his head on her lap. She stroked his hair gently. She thought of the past, the pain, the betrayal, the battles, and how far they had come. She didn't regret fighting back. She didn't regret the revenge, because it had given her back her name, her peace, her dignity. When they arrived at the Monteverde estate, the staff lined up once more to greet them. Marcus grinned widely and waved at everyone. Inside the grand mansion, a surprise waited for them, a celebration. The long dining table was adorned with flowers and elegant dishes. There were candles, soft music, and a giant banner that read, Welcome home Lady Felicity and young Master Marcus. Liana's eyes welled with tears again, but this time they were tears of joy. Marcus looked around in amazement. Wow, Mommy, this is all for us? She knelt beside him and nodded. Yes, sweetheart, because this is where we truly belong. He hugged her tight. Thank you, Mommy. I'm really happy. And at last, Liana knew. She had given her son the life he deserved, and she had reclaimed the life she was born to live, not as the woman betrayed, but as the woman reborn, as Lady Felicity Lyra Monteverde.